Welcome back to Excel Ultimate's video series, how to throw the perfect forehand. Welcome to episode 3, the wrist. This might be the most important one in the series, but I might say that about them all. Let's dive in. The reason I think the wrist might be the most important is because you can do this test, but you can go out to a field and I'll show a video after of just using the wrist to throw it 40, 50 yards. That to me is pretty telling. And let's talk about how to make the most of that and make you able to do that as well. The key thing about the wrist and where I see a lot of mistakes that players make is when it's coming forward, the throw is coming forward, you've done a great job of creating all this energy, rotational power, linear power. What we want to avoid is having the wrist and the middle finger in the same line. Right, and we talked a little bit about it in episode 2 when we talked about the middle finger. We want the wrist to actually be ahead all the way until the end, right here. If the wrist is even with this middle finger, and even if we follow through with the middle finger like we want, then this is like 60 degrees of spin and snap generated. But if we're able to lead with the wrist, notice the Excel logo, it's kind of sideways. Now we've generated, I don't even know, 130 degrees of power and spin and snap. So again, by leading with this wrist, you're just able to get so much more snap on the disc. And if you pair the wrist leading the middle finger and the middle finger following through, you're gonna be able to shoot the disc off your hand even without any other part of the chain. One slightly advanced tip and trick that I started doing, and I would only do this if you're already a very confident thrower, is I add a little bit of a wrist roll into my throws, my power throws. And what I mean by a wrist roll is I don't just bring the disc back and like open my wrist up and follow through. I actually come back at a little bit of an angle to the camera and roll my wrist forward, which allows me to get almost 270 degrees of that power. Anyways, this is a little bit more high level, but you can go out and try it. And what it would look like is, you pull the disc back, you go to throw, and then from here, you make this kind of motion where it's like a roll, okay? Again, only try that if you're already, comfortable, confident, and able to mess around a little bit without totally changing your throw. And that's how you squeeze every little drop of wrist power onto your throw, and how you can do something like this. That's a wrap on episode 3 in Excel's The Perfect Forehand series. If you want to work with me one-on-one on your mechanics, head over to excelultimate.com/throwing academy. I'd love to work with you. I've helped hundreds of players around the world find their best version of themselves. It's your turn.